In the middle of the 20th century, the American public was trained to anticipate sudden annihilation. School children routinely practiced ducking under wooden desks to prepare for a nuclear flash. Some families dug up their backyards to install private, steel-ribbed fallout shelters, stocking them with canned water and radios. But over time, the threat felt less immediate, and the United States largely abandoned widespread civilian defense infrastructure. Switzerland presents a different image. It is a nation famous for absolute neutrality, perfectly timed trains, and an undisturbed alpine landscape. Beneath that tranquil surface, the Swiss government maintains 370,000 reinforced shelters. There is a designated underground spot for nearly every person in the country. Swiss planners indebted this network directly into the foundations of apartment buildings, schools, and hospitals, creating an infrastructure that seals off the civilian population from the surface at a moment's notice. While an American basement typically holds a washer and dryer, a Swiss residential basement often features foot-thick concrete walls, locking steel blast doors, and manual air filtration cranks. As American civil defense programs drifted into history, Switzerland made preparedness a permanent requirement of its national building code. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis proved that neutral borders offered no physical protection. A conflict between the opposing superpowers would likely engulf the entire European continent. The following year, the Swiss government passed a national mandate making civil defense protection a legal requirement for every citizen. Builders were forced to include dedicated shelter space in all new residential construction. These structures were designed to counter a specific physics problem. Outside the immediate blast zone of a nuclear weapon, the primary danger to survivors is radioactive fallout drifting through the atmosphere and settling on the ground. By moving the population into the basement, tons of packed earth and thick reinforced concrete act as a physical shield. This mass reduces the amount of radiation penetrating the underground living space to a survivable level. Because major crises are rare, these shelters lead a double life. Behind the heavy blast door, residents use the secure space as wine cellars, archives, and daily household storage. But Swiss law enforces a strict deadline. In the event of a declared national emergency, citizens have exactly 5 days to clear out their personal storage and reactivate the survival systems. Swiss survival infrastructure relies on strict regulation and legal mandates embedded directly into civilian architecture. The ultimate expression of this engineering sits beneath the city of Lucerne. Every day, cars drive through the Sonnenberg Tunnel, utilizing it as a standard piece of motorway infrastructure. The tunnel hides a secret secondary function. It is equipped with massive steel doors that can lock down the highway, converting the transit route into a self-contained shelter for 20,000 people. In 1987, authorities tested the facility's actual capacity. During Operation Ant, thousands of citizens flooded into the subterranean complex to simulate an emergency evacuation. The simulation exposed a difficult logistical reality. Moving and directing a terrified mass of people through narrow concrete bottlenecks proved harder than drafting the original blueprints. Planners documented failures across the facility. Air quality dropped, water distribution broke down, and the stress of the environment compromised the strict protocols required to keep the shelter safe. Operation Ant taught the Swiss government that while blast resistance is a matter of mathematics, managing human behavior at scale is a far more complex engineering challenge. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, the Soviet Union dissolved, and the immediate threat of global nuclear annihilation rapidly faded. While other nations dismantled their defense systems to save on costs, Switzerland chose to maintain its vast underground network. Hardened concrete shells provide protection against multiple threats. A room built to block Cold War radiation is also effective during chemical spills, massive avalanches, or severe earthquakes. In 2022, the invasion of Ukraine changed the European security landscape. War returned to the continent, renewing the relevance of a civil defense network that many had dismissed as a relic. This chart illustrates the Swiss government's reaction to the new geopolitical climate. In 2024, they allocated 220 million Swiss francs to inspect, upgrade, and reactivate older sections of their bunker network. This strategy reflects a specific approach to risk. By building the infrastructure and stockpile before a crisis occurs, the Swiss ensure their reaction is not dictated by the chaos of the moment. Switzerland's 370,000 bunkers stand as a concrete acceptance of an unpredictable future, an acknowledgement that the most effective time to prepare for a disaster is before it even has a name.